Hello and welcome to Chatco Podcast, where we break down and review a movie of my choosing, and we, just try to have fun as best as we can. And we're not going to cry this time, so it's fine. I'm your host, Ranking Thomas Hughes.
Hi, I'm Hayden, and this film has Maisie Williams in it. This entire film is full of people that don't age. Just so you know, Paul Rudd's kids.
I should bring that up.
Paul Rudd's kids that he had to many different mothers.
Anyway, today we're discussing New Mutants, released in 2020. And I just realised my notes still said Logan. I fucking didn't delete that one. Another thing I didn't do. It serves as the final installment of Fox's X-Men universe, as well as the first live-action adaptation of the New Mutants team, as well as also being the first horror-focused Marvel movie since, I want to say, Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance in 2011. I feel like that was the last horror-focused one. So it was that whole era of 10 years where it was just like, you had the Blade trilogy, you had the two Ghost Riders, you had Man-Thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it. Yeah.
Oh, I know another Marvel horror film. For Dark World.
That as well also works. I thought he was going Hair of the Duck. But
No, that's not a horror film. That is a masterpiece.
It's the Room of the Marvel Universe.
It's the best rom-com film ever.
Woman fucks duck. Some of the plots.
I'm surprised they haven't redid that film because come on, they could replace.
Well, they were going to do
Donald Duck.
They were going to do an animated series, weren't they, at one point? But it kind of got scrapped.
I think it will like the Donald Duck.
Who knows? Anything could happen. Anyway, the movie suffered many delays since we first got the trailer back on the 13th of October.
A few more minis onto that. A few more minis, just a couple more.
Just wait for it. The trailer was first released on the 13th of October 2017, Friday the 13th. Got everyone buzzing everything. It looked all horror. We're like, this looks actually like it could be a really good Marvel movie. It looks horror focused. Hasn't been one for years. And then we got our first delay. So it was originally scheduled for the 13th of April, another Friday, the 13th, ironically, 2018. This delay then took it to February 22nd, 2019. So, almost a whole year after it was first meant to come out. Hold on, let's brace for this. It then got pushed to August the 2nd, 2019, before landing an April 3rd, 2020 release date, a whole year after. So technically 2 years after it was originally meant to come out. And, these changes were pretty much to do with the fact that there's other movies coming out at the same time, like Deadpool, Dark Phoenix, stuff like that. Loads of stuff was basically coming out at the same time, plus reshoots. And they was like, okay, let's keep pushing.
But wait! There's more!
They obviously, COVID happened, and it got delayed again for the fourth. It got its fifth release date, basically. And its new release date was August 28th, 2020. Or if you're in the UK, September 4th, 2020.
Honestly, we should have kept the ball running and delayed this podcast a few more years before we actually covered it, just to keep the joke running.
Well, we might do some reshoots down the line. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'll hold back until the release date, and I might, push it back a few times just to reshoot some stuff. Got to get your gorgeous looks out there properly.
That's true. Also, I think about we'll cut at all the points where James is here. He actually is here, but we cut him out.
He's been recasted multiple times.
We
first recast him with Connor. Kind of didn't work. He was kind of being a bit offensive. We recast him with Alex. Bit whiny. So, cut that as well.
Offensive, way more offensive.
Yeah, we then cast Craig. We realised Craig would not show up at all. So that was kind of a bad call on our behalf.
So we just
went back with James.
He was also bad.
Yeah, so we cut that again. Oh, for fuck's sake, I've done it again. Okay, cut, reshoot him. Anyway, the movie was directed by Josh Boone, who rose to fame with his adaptation of the Fault in Our Stars movie. Mm-hmm. He also directed Struck in Love, which was his first ever movie. And most recently, he directed 2 episodes of the Stephen King miniseries The Stand, which he was also one of the developers on. He hasn't done actually that much. He's literally just done 2 or 3 films. And a TV series, that's it. That's another cut there. Reshoot. Anyway, let's get strange just before Hayden gets more controversial here. Some early thoughts without giving a rating, Hayden. So, my opinion, I feel like this movie's kind of hated on a bit too much, which you'll see when I do the online rating bit. Because I think it's actually I said before recording, for the fact that we waited fucking what. Well, you waited about 3 years to see it.
Yeah.
I waited about 2-ish. I can't remember. It was just between 2 and 3. I feel like we got better than we deserved. Because the amount of delays, this could have been a pile of crap. And I don't think it is. Though I do admit there's some stuff which could be better. Like I think they could have dragged it out like an extra half hour, doing a bit more character development.
Some bits were a little bit rushed.
Doing some more horror, like tormenting them and whatnot. Okay, fair enough. That's missing. But for that hour and a half we got, I still think it's an enjoyable movie. I still think you get a lot out of it. That good popcorn flick.
It's definitely way better than some of the other X-Men editions. One we covered.
X-Men Origins Wolverine. Sorry, I got something in my throat.
You get a bit of a bad CGI in your throat there.
Cut. But yeah, I agree there. Not just that, stand. Still got something stuck in there. Ooh. But yeah, there's a lot worse movies than this, and it's a lot better than that they say it is. I feel like one thing that aids in it being better than most people say is the fact that it's actually got some really good, likeable characters. And though you only get this small amount of character development, I feel like they do develop enough. Even though it's too quick, they do develop enough from some being like straight up arseholes to being these great good guys.
I mean, yeah, the characters are really well done. I mean, they're a little bit rushed, but it's still like all the C's for their development is placed there. I mean, they've all got good chemistry as well. Like they all work really well. So it's very well done for that bit.
It's just that extra half hour they needed. That was it. I think. Yeah. I feel like it's too short.
Like an extra day or something.
It feels a bit too short of a movie. You look at all these other superhero films, they're usually at least 2 hours or just slightly under.
Yeah.
Whereas this is literally like, it was an hour and a half, wasn't it? Let me look at the back of the Blu-ray case. 95 minutes. Yeah. Obviously, take about 5 minutes for credits. About, say, 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So, it's a bit short, per se, but it gets enough of the message across of what it was trying to do. So, and I respect it.
Sometimes the short stuff is better. I mean, look at Danny DeVito. There's no more like beautiful than Danny DeVito, and he's quite short, so
definitely cutting that out. You've been a bully enough recently. Anyway, we'll move on then to the online rating info. Rotten Tomatoes has this at 35% for critics and 56% for audience, and we both agree that's way too low.
Yeah,
it needs a little bit more than that. IMDb has it at 5.3 out of 10. Again, quite low. Metacritic has it even lower than IMDb at 43 out of 100 for Metascore and 4.1 out of 10 for user score. Bit too low, I think, for these. I think it deserves a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll move quickly on. Swiftly. I might say we shot out of a cannon, like a cannonball, to the next bit. Haha. Funny joke. To the opening sequence thoughts. So obviously the opening sequence is the attack on the reservation, which obviously they claim for so far the movie is like a tornado struck down, blah 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 blah. But
but you see little hints that that's not right, because straight away you do see there's claw marks on one of the buildings,
and you hear the roar.
Yeah, you hear a roar. You hear something chasing.
Yeah, and you can sort of see a subtle outline of this demon bear.
Spoilers.
Oh, sorry, I cut that out. But yeah, I feel like it's an interesting sequence. Obviously, this actually came out sequence-wise, fucking a good couple of months before the film even came out. I think it was like about 2 months before the film came out. They actually released this like intro. I don't know why, they just did. And obviously, you got to see it beforehand. And it's actually quite an interesting sort of start. It's obviously quite quick. It's only there just to, essentially kill off Slipknot again. And push her into basically the care of Dr. Cecilia Reyes. That's the whole point of this.
Marks.
You mean the doctor, in quotation marks?
Yeah, both care and doctor. The whole sentence in quotation marks.
Quotation marks. But yeah, I feel like visually it looks it's not quite an interesting scene, to be fair.
Yeah.
Obviously, she wakes up, explosion. It's when she's running through the forest that gets me. It's quite visually decent, to be fair.
Yeah, it's quite good because it throws you straight into the action. You're like, what the fuck's going on? And you're interested. You want to know what's going on. It's a good way of hooking the audience.
And obviously, you have that transition when she smacks her head, and it transitions straight into the actual place, the mansion, where obviously she's being spied upon.
Yeah, the first person she sees is Arya Stark.
Yeah, pretty much. Who runs away? But I feel like it's enough to sort of draw you into go. Okay, that's quite. What was going on there? I want to know what's going on there. And obviously, we do learn later on what was going on there. Spoiler alert: she killed her dad.
Not her fault. Technically, it's his own fault for going. If you feel scared, remember you've got a demon inside of you, and the more you get scared, the more stronger it'll get. Night, night, children.
But actually,
you fucking expect your own fucking death, dickhead.
Not the first time he's done that. He also did it in Suicide Squad, where he's like, "Okay, let's escape." And she's my only power of escaping. Oh, I'm dead.
That bloke, literally, he cannot deal with any superhero film. If he goes in, he just dies. He should stop going superhero films.
Yeah. Bit of a decent intro, so we'll move on to the cast and characters. So first off, we have Danielle, also known as Danny, Moonstar, aka Mirage. She's played by Blue Hunt in her first actual feature-length movie role.
Mm-hmm. And
the one thing I picked out from the little list I had of her stuff for her is the TV series Another Life on Netflix. And obviously, this being her sort of first role, I feel like she did a decent job. I feel like she could have been a lot worse.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've all seen really bad first-time actors. Do, 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 do. I'm just saying.
True. For fuck's sake. Yeah, I feel like her character is quite intriguing as well. Obviously, you can clearly see from the fucking get-go what's going on. The constant hint. When it gets me later on when there's shocks of what's happening, but it's clearly hints at the entire movie. It's like, oh, there's clearly every time the camera points in, it's obviously got the computer pinpointing vitals and everything. It's clearly saying, oh, something's going on here. It's clearly obvious what's going on.
Psychic fucking energy going mental.
Exactly.
Or the photos going on, kill the bitch.
And then right at the end, there's like, oh, shit, it's her all along.
I mean, fucking hell. Even one of the characters' dragon puppets literally spoils what is going on. It's her.
Basically, yes.
Alright, Tony, calm down.
You know what? Now I wish I got my puppet out. So I could have. It's the one behind me. I could have had that in my hand the entire time. For fuck's sake. Cut. I'm getting it. No, I'm not. It's too much hassle.
Too lazy.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next character, which is Rain Sinclair, Wolfsbane, played by Maisie Williams, of course, from Game of Thrones. And
one of my pretty favourite characters from the comic, the X-Men comic.
Yeah,
because obviously it's a fucking werewolf. Of course, I'm gonna love that. I'm gonna love that.
It's a shame they didn't obviously lean into what she's like in the comics, like the look. Obviously, 'cause in this one they went with just a straight up normal wolf, didn't they?
They do have hints of it though.
That's what I mean. They do hint at it, but they never actually fully go for it, which is a shame, I will say.
They go off the half shift, the bit when she drops on her and she hears.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like it would have been cool if they went a bit more further than just the shitty. Oh, she's turned to a normal wolf. Oh, one scene.
Well, no, quite a few. It's about 3 scenes, I think.
I don't know. My chair's just slowly sinking.
you see it at first when Danny's running to the shield.
I think my chair just broke.
We Are you purposely trying to get all this thing reshot?
No, it literally. I was sat there listening to you. Okay, it's fine. I was sat there listening to you. Next time, my chair just started descending. I feel like it's doing it again, but very slowly. We'll see. I feel like I need a new chair, but I would have liked them to have gone a bit more into like showing Wolfsbane a bit more. But I feel like Maisie Williams brought the character to life really good, and my chair is definitely sinking.
For an English person, she did really good Scottish.
Yeah, I feel like she. Obviously, the focus, that extra half hour would have got a lot more of her character development rather than just, priest, turn to wolf, priest beater, put a W on her, yada yada.
Yeah.
That's all we got to know.
The only thing that's confusing is, like, surely a Scottish priest would know what a werewolf is. Instead, the first thing is witch. Although the branding does work. W.
Yeah. And then the one on the side of the face looks like a B. Wolfsbane. Yeah, decent character and well acted. Next up, we have Ilyana Rasputin, aka Magic. You know, because she makes that joke in the actual film. I am magic. Haha, funny.
Funny.
She's played by Anna Taylor-Joy, who was in the movie Split with James McAvoy. Good film. And obviously she's great in that as well. And in this, she does a really decent Russian accent, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I think her character is probably one of the better developed ones within the film. Because obviously she has this like first arc where she's like a bitch. She fucking is really racist and offensive towards Danny with the whole Pocahontas and the fucking... What's the thing? She's like, oh, do you want to have like bison meat or something like that? It's like being really like... Buffalo wings, that was it. And she's basically being really offensive. And then she goes to this like, bit in the middle where she's a bit nicer. And then she has to obviously straight when she finds out everything going on, she was a bit more of a bitch towards her. But then when it comes to it, the moment when she's obviously gives her the puppet back, she becomes more friendly. And she's like, okay, I'm friends, yeah. I'm going to save your life now.
Fucking badass.
Yeah. That one scene when she flips for the window of the church and lands, that fucking scene was amazing.
I know, yeah.
That was a good cinematic sequence. I was like...
Definitely.
Yeah. This film deserves a lot more likeable comments.
I mean, like, the fact that, like, they did her really well. And obviously they didn't really outright go, that's Colossus' sister. It's more of, like, subtly hinted, but not fully pushed as well.
Yeah, she's one of our favourite characters in this film.
Definitely.
I think they chose the right actress for it. She obviously, as I say, she's really good in Split. I haven't watched Queen's Gambit, but she's supposed to be really good in that as well. I'll get to it eventually. Next up, we have Sam Guthrie, aka Cannonball, played by Charlie Heaton, who's obviously in Stranger Things. And he's an intriguing character. Obviously, I like his power, the cinematic, the visuals of his power. Obviously, the first time you see it, when he's whizzing around that fucking the yard. I'm saying yard because of the Yanks. And obviously, he's fucking flying around. That was quite cool. And obviously, then a bit later on, when he actually put a giz in, he takes his hat off and he starts just zipping around, destroying everything.
Yeah, when he runs into those bunch of Jameses and kills them. Amazing.
For fuck's sake. You make people want to be depressed. This is the whole reason I brought the rules back into place. I brought them in because of you. Which is ironic because I brought them in the first place because of you. You're the cause of all these fucking rules.
But I like creating problems.
Well, no more problems. There's fucking rules. You make one more James comment, that's it, you're done. I think she's
tempting me now. You're tempting me now.
Just zip and let me carry on. Obviously, they could have chosen an American actor to play an American character, but they went with obviously a British actor who's obviously rose to fame thanks to technically playing an American character in Stranger Things. But again, he's a decent character in this. Again, all the characters are really good in it. I think they're acted well. I think obviously the ones who have to have accents, obviously at times, sometimes they do break accents occasionally. You can just slightly hear it, but for the rest of it, they don't. And I think they do a decent job. And he's another one that does really good, I think. So moving on to her, she's gone quiet now because she's fucking just dreading not fucking saying anything.
I'm trying not to be mean, but it's really easy.
Anyway, the next character we have is Roberto, aka Bobby, even though they never really called him Bobby, they just called him Berto. DaCosta, aka Sunspot, who we actually saw in Days of Futures Past, but played by a different actor. He's played by Henry.
Characters X-Men.
Huh?
Like a lot of characters in X-Men.
Yeah. He's played by Henry Zaga, who was in Teen Wolf Season 5.
Yeah.
He was
That's
the electric one. And again, he's a character that starts off as sort of, I wouldn't say a straight up arsehole, he's just like, he's a bit of a jerk. He's like a jock, essentially. Yeah. He's just like, this guy who's like, oh, I'm rich, oh, I've got all this money, oh, you're nothing. But at the same time,
it's because he's got a what's it called? What's it fucking called now? That thing that you have erectile dysfunction.
I'm sorry, what?
You know, comes too quick.
For fuck's sake. That's bullying there. You're bullying me now, but I'm going to accept and allow it because I don't give a shit.
One pump job.
One pump job. For fuck's sake. Oh, for fuck's sake, woman. But yeah, it's obviously at the same time as I'm portraying him as a jock at times in like these sort of group sessions, when they're doing like the private one-to-ones, he's shown as like he can be kind. Like when he's with Sam, when he talks to him, when he gives him his shirt and everything, and he's just talking to him. Obviously, they've got like this brotherly sort of bond between them. It's very good friendship. So it shows that he does have, bromance. He does have like this good side to him as well as this jock side to him, and obviously it also shows he's got this coward side, which they build up the entire film, and then right at the end, you know, as Sam says, nut up. And obviously he does and goes full fire. And, you know, he's quite badass. And, again, he's one of the decently developed characters. The ones that slowly builds up to nutting up.
Like, to start off, he doesn't tell anyone what his power is. He's put with a mystery. It's like, why? It turns out it's because he's ashamed that when he once tried to have sex with his girlfriend, he set on fire and killed her. So, you know.
One pump jump.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I don't set myself on fire much.
No, but you do in the last one night.
Fuck off.
What I said afterwards?
We're going to move on. Next up we have Dr. Celia Reyes, as Hayden said, quotation marks around her name. Played by Alice Braga, who was in the Will Smith I Am Legend movie. And she's also going to be in the new Suicide Squad movie as well. Which is ironic, because it's the next character we have. Again, she's, obviously, the first half of this movie, she's shown to be actually quite like a sort of Professor X sort of guidance person. No, she has her moments where she's like, oh, solitary now. She's still shown as like a sort of motherly figure to these characters for the fact that she's trying to keep them safe. She's obviously got this field around the whole facility to obviously stop them from getting out and obviously causing harm, as well as obviously trying to keep them in to protect them and whatnot. And obviously when they're fighting, she also stops them with her powers of shields.
She has 4 shields. She's like
invisible woman, but without the invisible. So
and a bitch.
Woman. We won't call her invisible woman, just call her woman.
She's like a female Trump. She creates these walls everywhere, and then gets kicked out in a peach or something. I don't know. I'm not American.
But yeah, I feel like she plays the character quite well. She obviously, as I say, she has this like nice side to her, but then when she goes like quite an arsehole, she knows how to do it. Like, she's trying to kill him at one point. She obviously goes full like evil. She's like, oh, let me just kill this one, kill the precious, get the ring. Wrong film. But you get my point.
We do.
But obviously, lastly, character-wise, obviously there's a few other characters, but none as important. Obviously, you got the priest guy, but he's only in like one little scene, and he's not really as important.
He's more of like an evil flashback kind of.
Yeah, character. The only other character that's important in terms of character development is obviously Moonstar's dad, William Lone Star, played by Adam Beach, who, as I said, is in Suicide Squad. Obviously, though he dies within the first 2-3 minutes, less than that actually, of this movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, he plays that important part of being in their mind. Obviously, he's the one who tells her about the bear. He obviously passed stuff down to her, information and whatnot. And obviously, he comes back later and it's like, basically, kick the shit out of this bear. It doesn't control you. You control it. So
basically, he's her Dumbledore.
Yeah, and I feel like he obviously, as I say, even though he's in only a few scenes, I feel like he does have that emotional value to draw her back into reality and go, you know what? Go kick the shit out of that bear. It's not. Basically, it's a bad bear. Beat the crap out of it. Make it a good bear. Basically that.
He dominates it.
Yeah. But I feel like he does a decent job. I feel like all the cast that I've mentioned are solid. I feel like they could have got a worse cast, and it would have definitely been a worse movie. I feel like they help this movie actually be enjoyable. Those who say that the movie was slightly rushed for the hour and a half, I feel like these characters are what make that hour and a half actually a lot more enjoyable. They say their chemistry between obviously the New Mutants and obviously their acting in general, that's what makes this movie a lot more enjoyable than people make it out to be.
Yeah. I mean, if Disney did this well, I would like it would be cool to have a sequel of those characters specifically. I mean, it could be it's like the Venom ones, its own continuity, not touching the MCU itself. But of course, they probably wouldn't do that. But if they did,
they probably won't. But it would be cool if they did, because I would like to see where they could go with this. Because obviously, they've got Mr. Sinister. They could easily bring him into it, because that's the whole plot. That's the whole overall plot point is the Essex Corp.
They've all got that fine line of not being superheroes, but also being on the edge of not being villains as well. It's like that. They're walking that middle road, like Deadpool in a way.
Yeah, basically. So it would be interesting if, obviously, when they do bring Deadpool over, if they also brought these over. Because I feel like they've already got these characters built up. They may as well. So all this movie is really connected to is Logan. Because that one scene where, obviously, you see the weapon X-23 and 24, that place happening.
Yeah.
But that could just be like a ripple in time, maybe. And that she's in through another universe, maybe. Who knows?
She thought she connected to the reality stone or some shit.
Who knows? But it would be cool if they brought him back.
Dimension popping character anyway, so they could easily do it.
Exactly, they could easily do it. So hopefully they do, but I doubt it. So we'll move on then to story. So the layout of the story is obviously the start is basically you meet these new mutants, you get to know them and whatnot, and you get to see obviously some of their powers, obviously the perks between them and whatnot, how they bounce off each other, how some hate each other, some like each other. Then you got this middle section which is then becoming a bit more, friendly and friends, as well as obviously the horror starting to come out. And then you obviously got the end, which is basically the New Mutants versus the Demon Bear and the Smiley Man. So that basically sort of sums up how this movie flows. And as I say, it feels obviously a bit rushed for the hour and a half. I feel like they could have done an extra half hour of not just the character development, but the horror. That would have been a lot. If they touched on it a lot more, it would have been quite cool. And obviously built up then to the obviously end sequence would have been a lot more satisfying, I felt like. But I feel like for what we got, as I said many, many times, it could have been worse.
Yeah, the only thing that probably would have made it just a little bit better if it was a little bit more gory, a little bit more leaning into the horror. That's what would make it.
Just the first trailer looked like it was going to be.
Yeah, so
I remember that. What was this? That song in the background, didn't that? Which was quite sinister. I can't remember the fucking song. It was a really sinister song, wasn't it? Basically, it's a song that's not meant to be sort of sinister, but it's sort of... But how they edited it, it sounded really sinister, didn't it? And it made the trailer look full on as a horror movie, and everyone was like, this is going to be great. And then they're sort of oh no, we're not going to horror anymore, it's reshoot. They're like, oh no, go back to horror, reshoot again. Oh, delay. There you go. Basically, sums up how they mentally thought of this. But yeah, I agree, horror would have been really cool, because it's me. I like horror. Horror plus superheroes as well, which is why I'm hoping they do Blade right when that comes out, because you can't have Blade without horror. Which is also what I hope they lean into in the Doctor Strange sequel. Is a bit more horror, because it is the multiverse of madness. Plus Sam Raimi's doing it, so it needs to be horror.
The song is "We Don't Need No Education."
That's it. They made it really sinister, didn't they?
Yeah.
I was wondering why you went quiet. You were googling it, weren't you?
I was going,
you're being our cheeky little Google, weren't you, today?
I was going onto the YouTube to look at the trailer quickly and just clicking for it.
Put your ear right next to your speaker. There we go. Okay, that's a song.
Mhm.
I feel like the story is mediocre, but just slightly above mediocre. So it's obviously it could have been shit, so it could have been below mediocre, but I feel like it's just slightly above mediocre in terms of quality. As I say, I feel like that extra half hour would have made it even higher.
Yeah, I'd say the characters are probably what carried it the most. I think
Yeah.
out of all of it. They picked the perfect actors to play those characters.
Exactly. But I'll move on then from story to cinematography, and I feel like it's quite nice. Yeah, I don't think it's terrible. I feel like some of the scenes are quite nice. Like I said, the snow scene was quite nice. The scenes when they're using the powers look quite cool. Obviously, there's a few shots in the movie that make you go, "That's nice." As I said, the one where she flipped through the window in the lands of the church, that was quite cool.
It's like, do you know, the one when there's got like, the cameras and it's showing obviously Sunspot of Bloke and Magic that in the swimming pool, and it goes over to her in her like her room.
Yeah, that was quite a cool
That was
shot.
quite sinister. What the fuck?
I feel like they nailed the cinematography perfectly for this to make it quite spooky. I feel like if I got it wrong, it wouldn't have looked as spooky as it's meant to. So they got that right. We'll give them that. There's a few shots here and there, obviously, that do sort of solidify it as decent cinematography. So the snow scene, when they're using the powers and fighting. As you say, the pool scene when that happens, and it sort of just plays into that. I feel like even like the scenes when it's like the characters sort of talking to each other, like having fun and that, the scenes look quite nice to look at. They're quite shot well. I know you say there's a lot of Buffy fucking scenes in the background. A lot of Buffy scenes.
A lot. I think one of the characters really likes Buffy.
And it looks like Maisie Williams.
She really likes Willow.
She's watching that a lot.
A lot. So in fact, they were hinting at the fact that maybe she's gay. Maybe, just maybe.
It's like probably the first time it's actually something that's been shown in a superhero film, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know they've done like pointing at characters but it's never actually been like shown properly.
Yeah.
So now Power Rangers did.
MCU wise.
Yeah, they've referenced it with Valkyrie, haven't they?
Yeah, they just referenced it. They never really like actually outright said it.
They never obviously delved into it a bit more. I say Power Rangers did it as well. They straight up outright said that one of the characters in the rebooted movies that was gay, but they never obviously delved far into it. But this actually did, which is nice to see.
Definitely.
So then,
I remember watching it. Like I could see it coming. I was like, oh god.
Yeah, you can see it coming a mile away. Obviously, a lot of the stuff you can generally can in this film, but yeah, decent cinematography, thumbs up there. So,
well set up basically.
Yeah, we'll move on to score, and I feel like some of the tracks in the score are actually quite decent, but I feel like a lot of it is a bit meh. So I feel like it's like a mediocre kind of score. Obviously, when it goes like horror, the horror is very obviously pushed out with the songs in the back. Like that Russian song that's playing every time you see obviously Ileana sort of past. That's quite a creepy song. Then obviously there's a lot of other bits that just aren't there, which is a bit shit. So it's kind of a mediocre score for me. Which is a shame. I feel like they could have pushed out a lot more. Yeah, it could have done a lot better. So next up is special effects, and it's actually good. It's surprisingly decent special effects. Probably the best example of special effects is Ileana's arm. When that fucking crates on her arm, that is hands down got to be some of the best special effects in this movie.
It's so good. Well, when she goes around and she kills all those smiley men, like you see, like when she uses it, like the blue mark she leaves on like the little gate that's next to her in the stairway and on the wall, but the attention to detail that whenever she uses it. Chef's kiss. Exactly. And that fucking like dimension that she creates, just randomly.
I know it's only like a brief little look. They still fucking did a lot of work making it look really cool.
Yeah.
So you have to
and
give
then
them
there's
that.
the cute little dragon.
Exactly. Obviously, you look at the dragon and the bear. They look both quite really good as well. Obviously, the bear. Though obviously it's just a bear, so obviously they literally just gotta make a bear, and just make it all shadowy and all that. But I mean, they gotta nail the shadowy and everything, and I feel like they did it right.
Yeah.
And some of the other characters' powers, I would say Cannonball's powers, they look quite cool as well. They've done really well. Wolfsbane's powers, when obviously even though it's just a slight shift, like their eyes and everything, they look obviously really well done.
Yeah.
And obviously the bits of fur around the ear.
The bits with the ears that like twitches,
Yeah.
like moves slightly when she's like emotionally affected. And that's cool.
And obviously the portal powers from the Doctor, they're quite cool looking as well.
Yeah.
And then lastly you have Sunspot. Though his fire bit looked quite cool, I feel like that's quite... The bit when his hair's flowing in the fire, that looks quite cool. I don't really like the bit when he fully transforms into whatever the fuck that was.
That weird charcoal guy.
The guy, he looks like something out of Ben 10. He looks like... I'm trying to think of the character he was reminding me of.
Really darkened.
Sort of like that. It's sort of like Heat Blast meets fucking... What's that one that basically he turns into he's fucked? There's one he turns into he's fucked, he can't do anything.
Can't do anything.
He's sort of...
Next.
Yeah, that one. The one who's trapped in his mind.
Yeah, basically the whole point is that one. You can't do anything unless he gets both consciousness to agree.
Yeah, it's basically like those two characters mixed in one. It looks a bit weird. It kind of looks out of place a bit.
If they were stuck with just the fiery bit.
Yeah, I feel like they could have stuck with that. I feel like they went with that bit was for basically him going full max. He's nutted up basically. He's going for it, but this looks a bit too weird for my liking.
Like his whole point is he absorbs like solar radiation, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And uses it. So it would have been better if it was more like he looked more like a sun.
Yeah.
He just got like solar flares coming off.
He basically looked like space. He looked like a space person.
Yeah.
Looks a bit naff, but I wouldn't say it looked naff. It looked just weird and out of place.
Yeah. It would have been better if he looked just more like more like a sun, like the solar flares popping off. And,
yeah, or just kept, as the fire.
The fire.
It would have looked a lot less out of place.
Yeah.
I feel like that covers a lot of the special effects, to be fair. So, yeah, solid special effects. They did well there, we have to give them that. We'll move on to action sequences, which, for this, there's only actually two. There's two. First off, obviously, the different mutants, obviously, fighting the Smiley Men. So, obviously, you see Ileana, like, cutting through them all. But, obviously, it starts off, technically, with them running away, and obviously, you have fucking Cannonball have to use his powers at first. And he has to fucking fly through them, doesn't he? He cuts them all to pieces. Then, obviously, fucking... Sunspot gets involved and starts fucking burning some of them. And then, obviously, Ileana comes in. And that bit when she's on the stairs, when she finally comes back in, and you hear her shout, some obviously Russian and magic, and she comes flipping down the stairs, cutting for everyone. And she almost cuts fucking Cannonball in his face, like, whoa. And then she goes back up and kills him. And then fucking, I heard you cracking up when Sunspot goes, I'm going to marry that girl. I feel like they did the comedy quite decent in this as well.
Definitely.
But yeah, I feel like this sequence was done well. Obviously, it was really late on the film, so you got a whole film of essentially just characters building up, which works for this film because it's meant to be horror more than action. But when this does do this scene, I feel like it's a good fight scene. Obviously, as I say, it shows off Magic's powers a lot more. It shows off Cannonball's powers. Obviously, you only get a little tiny bit of Sunspot because that's ready for the next bit of the fight. And obviously, at this time, you don't actually see anything of Wolfsbane because she's too busy dealing with obviously the Doctor, stabby, stabby, stabby. But yeah, I feel like it's a decent action sequence.
Yeah.
And obviously, then it sort of pushes on into the last fight, which is obviously the Demon Bear fight, when it smashes through and fucking kills the Doctor. Nom 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 nom. And obviously, then you have to fucking one by one, you have to fight it because obviously Magic has to start the fight when she's like, "Hey Yogi," and she gets the dragon out. Her and the dragon start fighting with the bear. And obviously, they all sort of run off. I don't get this scene when they're running off, though, because fucking... Obviously, Maisie Williams is helping her at first. And then she's like, Roberta, you have to carry her now. And as soon as they get in the church, she's like, I'll take her back now. What was that? What's that for? It's like, isn't if you open the fucking door. Fucking Cannonball opened the door. It's just a weird scene. I don't know why she gave her to him and then took her back in. I'm just gonna ignore it, but... Obviously, you see the Magic's powers when she jumps through the portals, fighting and whatnot. And obviously, there's the dragon's powers as well, fires and whatnot. And obviously, then Cannonball joins in, so you get to see him blasting around. And then obviously you get to see a bit of Maisie Williams' sort of wolf powers, but she's not fully physically like attacking. She's just basically just sort of holding like fucking Moonstar. So it's like trying to protect her basically, just holding her down. And then obviously nut up happens, and he goes full fire, and that's obviously blasting. And obviously he does that weird thing when he turns to the weird space pure whatever the fuck it was, and it starts fucking firing shit at the bear. But obviously all these are doing fuck all to the bear. The only one who really does any like real full damage is fucking Maisie Williams when she scratches it at one point. It's like, oh, you bastard. And obviously he even fucking throws her up onto the fucking top, doesn't it, and tries to eat her because she scratches shit out of it. But as I said, then fucking stuff happens, which we'll get to when we talk about the ending. But I feel like for the fight we got, obviously, since the bear's basically indestructible, essentially, I feel like it was decent enough to show, obviously, their full capabilities of their powers when they fully give in. Obviously, no magic technically gave them was the Smiley Men entirely. Her power she gave fully in there. Obviously, she brought the dragon to life now, so brought Lockhead to life, so it shows the full capability of her power here. And on top of that, it also shows, obviously, Cannonball's. Obviously, he's willing to basically sacrifice everything on the line to save everyone. And obviously, then it shows Roberto's full transformation into this character who's not a coward anymore. He's willing to actually go full flames and fight. So it does a lot. This fight's essentially a lot of showing powers as well as finally finishing off character building. So I feel like they did that decent, which is a bit different for normal fight scenes. But it's decent.
Yeah. Pretty well done.
Obviously, then we'll get to the ending in a bit, but obviously the horror element is the next thing I want to talk about. I feel like when they do horror, it's done well, but I don't think they do it enough.
Yeah. I think it's like, because they're going more for like the psychological horror than like jump scare kind of horror.
Yeah, but I feel like they didn't even do that enough. I feel like they did it to a minimum, and then that was it.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they went more, adding more of that, I feel like it would have been a lot more tenser.
Yeah.
And a lot more scarier at times.
It's like they're putting their foot, like dipping their foot into the horror, and then like, okay, that's enough now.
It's like going for a bath. Pity what?
Back to superhero film, shall we?
Basically what it is, they do the horror to a point and then just go, yeah, let's get back to superheroes.
Let's get a magic gold sword and dragons.
Which I feel like they still could have done that, but obviously I feel like the build up in the middle should have been full horror, like psychological horror. They should have done a lot more of it. Because I feel like they had a bit too much fun, these characters, at times. I feel like they should have had the fun early on, and then it just went downhill instantly. Like, they all started seeing like shit, and shit started happening to every single one of them a bit more than it did. Because obviously, the only ones it really happened to, obviously Roberto had that scene in the pool, which it happened to.
Yeah.
Magic had the fucking, obviously the Smiling Men scare her at one point. I would say Maisie had the obviously the guy come back and burn the shit out of her. But all fucking Cannonball had was that one scene when he saw himself in the mines and then just blasting himself backwards. That was it. He didn't really have that much psychologically fucking tormented. I feel like each character should have been tormented a lot more than they were, just to fuck with them. I feel like Roberto had enough because obviously he technically did interact. And same with Wolfsbane. I think they both had enough because they both physically got touched by something and got harmed by it. But I feel like the other two should have had a lot more done. Especially, I say, Cannonball, because I feel like Magic had the more psychological side of it because she was broken at the end when she first saw the Smiling Men. But I mean, he wasn't really. He just kept, like, he was the most like stable one out of all of them. But I feel like he should have had a lot more kick, if that's to say. It's just a bit of a shame I didn't do that. But yeah, I feel like give it a bit more horror and it would have been a bit more spot on.
Like what we had though, like it still doesn't ruin it.
No, it still doesn't ruin it, but I feel like a little bit more. A little bit more. Get your foot in that bath a little bit longer.
Yeah, put both feet in.
Yeah, put both feet in. Don't just put one little toe in. Put both feet in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I say, well, for what we got, the horror was decent, but it could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
It's like that whole fucking meme of the Wonder Woman film is like, this is good, but it could be better. It's like that, basically.
Pretty much. I mean, the trailers did make it look like it would be more.
Yeah, it did.
Just like horror than it did, but
Reshoots. Shit. whatnot, delays. Yeah.
We can blame that on the reshoot, basically. If they stuck with the vision that they wanted originally and kept with it instead of just changing and going back to it, we probably would have had more.
You have a kick.
I think. Mm.
Right, Hayden. It is your time.
Yeah.
Editing, take the floor.
Good. He's pretty good, to be honest. I mean, there's nothing that was like outstanding, but there was nothing that was like X-Men Wolverine Origins. So, in my book, that's a win. It's not like that film. It's a fucking win. Not really much like to say about it, really, because everything's pretty much normal. When you look at, obviously, the special effects really cover what was good about it, really. Because other than that, it was pretty just
So a
normal.
lot of the scenes pretty much flowed into the next one.
Yeah.
There wasn't really any sort of cuts. They pretty much carried on, or like quickly just jumped to another character before jumping back. So there wasn't really any like fancy edits. But I agree there. I feel like it was
simple, linear kind of.
it was simple
story.
but quite effective.
Definitely.
Okay, and so pacing of the movie. I feel like, as I say, it went a bit too quick. I think that was our main concern.
Yeah.
Was it felt a bit too rushed and a bit too fast. With the fact that, as you say, extra half hour would have meant the pacing would have been a lot better. But
Definitely.
though it felt rushed, it still got the message across, which is all a film really has to do. It did it basically,
And it still did good.
but
Like
it
I said,
still felt a bit quick.
The extra half an hour would probably just be like a cherry on the cake, really.
Yeah, that's cherries on cakes.
It's got the icing, but it's a little bit of fruit so you don't kill yourself at a heart attack. A little bit there to help you.
Yeah, that's fruit on cake. Yeah.
Old people and boring people.
Put something interesting on there. Put a giant flying saucer full of sugar in it on top.
Or cocaine. You get that.
Neither one works.
That works.
Yeah, I feel like it's pace is a bit too quick, but it's all right. It's acceptable. So next up we have production design, and obviously the whole film is pretty much set within this facility, and it does make it feel like a prison. I feel like they shot it, and obviously the design of the place looked like it was a straight up prison, even though it was meant to be like a hospital. It basically looked like a mental asylum essentially. So they got it right. They got the production on this film spot on, in my opinion.
Like, the whole point of those ones, it felt claustrophobic. It felt like if you were in here, even if you weren't like crazy, you would become crazy after a while.
Yeah, which is showing sort of Roberto, who sort of started was a bit sane, but when he was trying to get out, he was starting to lose his mind. He's like, I want to get out, I want to get out, I want to get out. So yeah, I agree. It makes it claustrophobic for these characters. So they did a great job production. So next up we have the script, and it's a good script. There's no like cheesy dialogue. The characters obviously when they talk to each other, it feels like it's from the heart. It feels proper.
They stay in character as well.
Yeah,
it's like they all stick with their like thing, like pretty much all about it. His character doesn't really change, but like he evolves, but like the way he speaks doesn't like change. You know what I mean? It's pretty. They stay consistent.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Yes. Words.
Word. It's a good script. It's better than some scripts or in X-Men Origins.
You know what? They had a bit of a shit filming you after there.
Oh, I've got no drink to fucking wash it down. What I'll do is I'll wash it down with this Lynx spray. That should work, right? I would definitely like die from that, right?
Well, it has an X, so it's fine.
X-Men! Just die instantly. Yeah, I feel like it's a decent script. Obviously, the extra half hour could have improved some of the stuff, but there's only so many times we can plug that idea of an extra half an hour for the movie. Yeah. So we're going to move on then to the ending, which is obviously when Danny sees his dad and he sort of confronts her and he's like, you control the bear, essentially. So she, womans up and controls the bear, calms it down, and defeats it by just going, bye bye, and it just disappears.
Yeah, basically she goes all Brother Bear and it goes away.
Yeah, and obviously then the group head off out of town, out to the town that's supposed to be like so many miles away, or is it? Who knows? They don't know. She could be lying. Who knows? But I mean, I did enjoy the ending. There was quite some humorous moments, like when they all comes like calming down. They're all sort of getting back up, and fucking Roberta gets up with that big massive plank of wood covering his crotch. She's like,
You know, it's the ending. Like it's the fully cementing their characters like evolution. Lovely, like stranger guy chucks his coal out of it. Not only like to see if the shield's there, but obviously to get rid of his past.
yeah,
Obviously, as well, Danny puts her necklace away as well, the bear necklace.
yeah. She put the bear to rest.
Yeah, little them all symbolising their closure they've gotten from this experience. It's pretty good.
As well as essentially the birth of the New Mutants. Obviously, the group's
Yeah,
now
and then
a thing.
death afterwards because they'll never pick up again.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, I feel like it rounds that film out, rounds the characters out, as you say, and obviously, I don't know how you could have really ended it. It was the ending that was perfect for it, because the only way you could have ended it differently is maybe like some shocking moment happens, like Mr. Sinister turned up, he's like, ha ha ha, I beat you, X-Men. Oh wait, you're not the X-Men. I beat you, Logan. Oh, you're not Logan. Fuck it, I'm out of here. Bye.
Yeah, all that Colossus comes in like,
and thing as well.
this isn't Deadpool's place. What the fuck am I?
No, it is as well. Mr. Sinister is played by fucking Russell Brand.
Oh my god.
Dreamcast in there.
But he used that bullying accent. He uses Rock of Ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop fanning around.
Oh, the funny around, y'all kids. Come on, let's go. You're going to facility to become weapons, ain't you?
Oh. Yeah, I feel like it's an alright ending for a decent film. So, Hayden,
Yeah.
it is time for the rating of the movie. So, I think, as we said, it's a very underrated movie. I feel like it's shitted on too much. For the fact that we say we've got many delays, many delays, I feel like we got better than we deserve to get. So with that, I am going to give the New Mutants, ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
A solid 7 out of 10.
Okay. I will one-up you there and say 8 out of 10. Because the art element I actually really liked. Like, I think the characters, well, they helped to me. I think just that little bit more. Especially, obviously, Maisie Williams plays a fucking wolf. So that in itself is a big, like, point there. So, yeah.
Try one at me.
I know, yeah.
God damn it. Anyway, give the New Mutants a Chatter Cave overall rating of 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
I feel like that's a decent rating for it.
I ran that down to a 7.
And then ran it back up. Anyway, before we get to the question of the day, I'm going to introduce my new section, which is called the Chatter Cave MVP Award, which is like the most valued player, man of the match, essentially. Basically, a character that stood above the rest as the best character in the movie. And obviously, I said to you before we started, this is something we're gonna talk over a bit more, because it's sort of a last minute thing I added in. So this week, obviously, you may agree, you may not agree. Who knows? This is from my point of view here, but next week, obviously, onwards, we'll actually have a discussion of who we think. So the Chatter Cave MVP award this week goes to Ileana Rasputin, Magic, played by Anna Taylor-Joy. Who the fuck did you say then?
The bear.
The bear. No, Anna Taylor-Joy's Magic character. I feel like she's the one character that was developed well over the film. She's the one that actually went from, let's say, this arsehole character into this actual likable character. And there's a lot of cinematic moments that she had which solidify her character as probably the best character in this movie.
Her power's fucking badass.
Yeah, her power's badass. She got a fucking puppet that eventually turns into a dragon. I'm a dragon guy, so I'm going to say that.
She got a magic sword.
Yeah. the CGI in general for it, everything about this character was great. Obviously, apart from the racist parts at the start, but that's there to develop her character into a good guy. So it makes sense. So, do you agree there, Hayden? Do you think that?
Yes. Like, out of all the characters, she's the most, like, look, anti-villain kind of character. She's, like, more a sympathetic villain mixed with a arsehole kind of hero, and it melds well together. So I agree. Yes.
The second choice was obviously going to be Wolfsbane, obviously.
Yes.
But I
Because,
thought Anna Taylor-Joy brought
Mm.
magic to life in a really good way, and as I say, the special effects and the cinematic moments drove this for me to choose this. But as I say, next week we're going to actually have a discussion rather than me just pick one
yeah.
and hope for the best that Hayden agrees. But yeah,
I agree with that.
congratulations on that MVP award, the first
Yeah.
ever
Well,
MVP
well,
award. So we're going to move on now to the question of the day, Hayden.
Oh god.
So my question of the day is: would you like to see them try a psychological horror comic adaptation again, but actually give it more time to not just develop characters, but also subject them to the horror, which they obviously this sadly did. So obviously not just this. Obviously another example of a sort of horror orientated recent adaptation, which is not going to get another go at, is Swamp Thing. That did the psychological horror as well, and again that sadly got cancelled at one season. So would you like to see this sort of style of film again? This horror side, psychological side of it, but doing it right.
Yeah, because what we saw obviously was good, and bit more. If they leaned in more into it, it probably would have been even better. I think probably the best one to do it with, villain wise, probably be Nightmare, because he's basically fucking Freddy, but without the copyright. So it'd work, I think. So never know. We might find that in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, or Mom.
Who knows? I just feel like it'd be an interesting thing because it's very obviously we had that whole, as I said, the era of like the blades and everything, this horror side of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is obviously the first sort of psychological type of horror we got in terms of comic book adaptation, and it's quite an intriguing thing. Like, obviously, you get these moments of horror, but in general, there's not. Obviously, it's like not full on like I'm gonna stabby, slice. It's like psychopath sort of horror. It's more like messing with your mind, seeing things that aren't there, like the fucking that face on the wall, the rain, that's blood. Obviously, the smiley men, yada, like stuff like that. It'd be interesting to see done right with other things. I would say Multiverse of Madness. I'm hoping they do delve more into horror psychologically. Then obviously the straight up, oh, it's an action movie, yada yada. A bit like the first Doctor Strange, that went more psychological than it did like run of the mill.
Really fucking mental. Like, what the fuck? They're walking on walls.
I'd like to see that, but with the horror side of it in that one.
Would. I mean, they've got Sam Raimi. Like,
Exactly.
the character wise, they've obviously got Strange, and they're gonna have Wanda,
who's now fucked up in the mind.
Yeah, so there's gonna be like some elements of what the fuck is going on. I mean, if you see like WandaVision, let's be honest,
Exactly.
that's mental.
That's not a hint at something that we're going to cover at some point.
Well, not me. Maybe.
Who knows?
Ooh.
Depends if you're free. Probably are, but we'll see. Yeah, I feel like that covers the question. That was a decent response from both of us, I felt there.
Yeah.
Basically, yes, give us more psychological horror in terms of comics.
I'm so bored of fucking Tom Slash of fucking horror films. It's the same person for the whole film again.
You can't see it, but I'm flipping the bird at you twice.
Wow.
Anyway, that's it for the Check Out podcast this week. Join us next week as we start, essentially like a 2-month binge of the DC extended universe. And we kicked it off next week with, what kicked it off in general, which was Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the best takes on Superman you can find.
That's true, actually, compared to the other ones.
Yep.
And then it'll go downhill from there.
It goes a bit wavy. But it's a bit like Aquaman summoned a wave. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um,
Watch that film?
Obviously, he's covering all of them.
Yeah, but
Look, we'll just say we won't name drop the person. We'll just say unnameable.
yes, redacted.
Yeah, there you go, redacted. But until then, I've been your host, Drinking Thomas Hughes.
We're talking about Amber Heard.
Yeah, and this has been Chat Cave Podcast, and I was going to do a really cool outro, like really great and everything, but I feel like we're going to have to delay it about a good few months because we got to get it just right. / COVID, so we can't do it right. So, hashtag release the outro.
Yeah.
It's a Snyder Cut joke, if you don't get it.
It's funny. All I'm saying is that James is a right little